Okay, good morning, all the students. Madhusri, you're having some difficulty joining. Ask her to join once again. Madhusri, you're able to join? Presentation is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, welcome to this fourth lecture under Module 5. In the previous session, we have gone through how to write Java programs in order to set a MapReduce job and how to scale out on multiple machines to work on HDFS cluster. In Java MapReduce part, we have seen how to write the classes for mapper and reducer separately by redefining the map function and reduce function already declared in mapper and reducer classes. Now, after customizing your map and reduce functions, to read the data from the input file that has been specified in the command line argument, we need to path these mapper and reducer classes into a job and set the input path from where the data has to be read and the output path to where the processed data has to be written. Right after this, we have also seen how to set the output key value pairs format, whether if it is in text format or in writable format. And also we have covered various Hadoop wrapper classes like int writable, long writable, and text, which are analogous to int, long, and string in your Java programming language. And after that, we also saw about how to scale the operation of this MapReduce onto multiple machines so that you can work on different nodes on HDFS cluster. So far, till writing a Java MapReduce program, we saw how to work on single machine in a pseudo distributed mode. But now we are trying to do it on different nodes on a HDFS cluster while dealing with large volumes of data that have been covered in scaling out how actually we can do that. While covering the topic, we have seen how one reduced job can be involved in the map reduce task and multiple map reduce jobs, how they can give the output of the map reduce program. And if no reduce task is available, then how parallel map outputs can be directly written on two file systems on the HDFS cluster. All these topics have been covered with figuratical presentations. Now, in today's lecture, we'll see how we can write combiner functions in order to reduce the data that is transmitted between map and the reducer classes so that we can save on the bandwidth. And also how to run a distributed map reduce job and Hadoop streaming. Now let's see what is a combiner function. Now many MapReduce jobs are limited by the bandwidth available on the cluster because multiple MapReduce jobs will be running. You are not the only client that you request for a processing task. Many number of HDFS clients simultaneously at the same time request for many types of processing jobs to be run parallelly. In that case, many MapReduce jobs are limited by the bandwidth available on the cluster. So it pays to minimize the data transferred between map and reduce tasks. So if you can save on this data that is being transferred between map and reduce tasks, then that bandwidth utilization will be lesser and lesser. So that actually when it is required by other MapReduce tasks, it can be optimally utilized. Now, Hadoop allows the user to specify a combiner function to be run on the map output, and then the combiner function's output forms the input to the reduce function. In previous case, when combiner function was absent, we understood that map output in the form of key value pair is shuffled, merged, and then given as key value pairs to the reduce function as input. But if you introduce a combiner function, it will minimize the amount of data that will be transferred between map and reduce. For this, the combiner function will run on the map output, not on the reducer side. It will so that the data that is going to be transferred as input to the reduce phase will be minimized. Now, because the combiner function is an optimized level, Hadoop does not provide a guarantee of how many times it will call it for a particular map output record, if at all it is called. Now, in other words, if you want to say calling the combiner function 0 times, 1 time, or many times should produce the same output from the reducer, irrespective of how many times the combiner function is called by the map task. The reduce task will always produce the consolidated result as one single key value pair. So that calling the combiner function doesn't depend on what will be the output of the reducer task or the reducer class. Now the contract for the combiner function constrains the type of function that may be used. So it is based on the type of data that you are passing. Say if you want to find the maximum of splits of individual map tasks, in that case, it is possible. But if you are trying to perform calculating the minimum, then it will give a deviated results, which will not give you the correct output in the reduced task. I'll show you that with an example in the later slides. Now, this is best illustrated with an example, this entire combiner functionality. Let me explain you with one easy example. Suppose that for the maximum temperature example, readings for the year 1950 were processed by 2 map functions instead of 1 map function. In that case, because they were in different splits. Say readings for the year 1950 is processed by 2 different map tasks, because they are actually on 2 different splits. Now imagine the first map produced this output. This is the output of map 1 task, where 1950 years recordings, 3 recordings are made here. 3 recordings are fetched here, 0, 20 and 10. And the second map task produced this output. In 1950, 2 temperatures are recorded, that is 25 and 15. If both these outputs are given on one single map task, then you will get the key value pair as this one, 1950, with all the list of air temperatures captured in that 1950 that are extracted by the map function from the input splits. This is the case if one map task runs this job. But if 2 maps run this job, then your first map task output will be like this and second map task output will be like this. Now, the reduce function would be called with a list of all these values having 1950, and you have to pass all these values across from map job to reduce job, which contains the list of all the temperatures 0, 20, 10, 25 and 15. Now, when this is handed over to the reduce function, it will give us the output 1950 and 25. So what happens here is the map job is passing all this list of values across to the reduce job, which actually utilizes some considerable amount of bandwidth. Now we could use a combiner function in this case, so that just like the reduce function, it finds the maximum temperature for each map output. So what this combiner function does is, it finds out the maximum temperature for this 1950. In this case, the maximum temperature is 20. So the combiner function's job is to find out the maximum temperature in this case for each map task and keep it as input for the reduce task. Now in this second map task for 1950, the maximum temperature is 25. So this and this is given by the combiner function to the reduce job. In previous case, this intermediate level is not present. This data is directly passed on to the reduce task, which increases the bandwidth utilization. But when you introduce this combiner function, this output of map 1 and map 2 is taken over by the combiner function, and it will combine the output of this map task separately, and it finds the maximum output of each task separately, and then that is taken again to give as input to the reduce task. That is what is the role played by combiner function. Now the reduce would then be called with, in this case, in the first map task case and the second map task case, both are taken as combiner function, and this will be taken as 1950. The first map the first map's output will give you 20, and the second map's output will give you 25 as the job. Now this is combined by the combiner function, and it is further given to the reduced job. Instead of two map jobs communicating with the reduced job, the combiner function takes the data from these two map jobs, consolidates their highest temperatures. In case of first map job, it is 20, and second map job, it is 25. Takes them together, combines them together, and that is given as a key value input to the reduce function, so that instead of passing this entire list of 0, 20, 10, 25 and 15, this combiner function will now pass only 20 and 25, because it itself found the maximum of each of these map task outputs. Now that is given here. The reduce would then be called with this input key value pair, that is 1950 with 20 and 25 as the temperatures that have to be passed as value list, from which again the maximum temperature will be found, and the reduce would produce the same output as before, that is 1950 and finally 25. So we may express this function, these function calls on the temperature values in this case as follows. I'll just show you how it can be expressed if you want to understand in the background how actually this is processed. Now the maximum temperature that is taken by both the map tasks is 0, 20, 10, 25 and 15 in absence of combiner job, and that is directly taken to find the value as 25 by the reducer job. But when you give the combiner function in the middle, when you introduce the combiner function in the middle, in that case, it takes the data that is given by the first map task. This is the data given by the first map task in the key value pair. The value contains 0, 20 and 10. That is the first map one's output. And the second map job's output is this value for the key value pair, 25 and 15. That is output by the second map task. And this first map task maximum value is taken, that is 20. And the second map task maximum value is taken, that is 25. Now this is passed as to find the maximum value of 20 and 25 because of the presence of combiner function. Now this is passed on along with the key 1950 and the list 20 and 25 to the reduce function by the combiner function, and the final output in 1950, the maximum temperature recorded is 25. That output will be produced by the reducer class. Now the combiner function is defined using the reducer class, and for this application it is the same implementation as the reducer function in max temperature reducer. Now the only change we need to make is to set the combiner class on the job. That's it. We need not make too many modifications to your previous max temperature class. Just we need to pack further with this combiner function. I'll show you how to do that. This is the application to find the maximum temperature using a combiner function for improving the efficiency and reduce the bandwidth utilization, optimize the bandwidth utilization. So we are taking the same max temperature class, what we have written by using our Java MapReduce. This max temperature class now is combined with combiner function. That is why I just modified the class name. Instead of max temperature, I gave it as max temperature with combiner, which says that this class uses combiner function. Now this has the main function like we did before. and you are just throwing an exception if the format of the command line argument you have given doesn't have an input path and an output path. That is from where you have to read the input to process and to where the output have to be written by the reducer class. And this will exit by giving a error code -1. Now, you know very well how this exception is handled. I explained this clearly in the previous session. Now, let's come back to where exactly we pack this combiner class. Now, you already understood that you have to create a new job instance in order to set this mapper and reducer classes. For that, you created the job instance once, that is with this job object, and using this job object you are invoking set jar by class file method, so that you can distribute this Java archive file, that is this job, across all the nodes in the HDFS cluster where the actual blocks of data is residing. For that you are packing it into a jar class. Now that is packing which class? Max temperature with combiner dot class, so that this further helps us to access your mapper class and reducer class along with your combiner function. Now this job you're giving it a name as max temperature because this is finding the maximum temperature recorded across the globe in a particular year. Now this is also the same what we have done in the previous session, that is adding the input path from where the file has to be read and output path to where the reduce classes output have to be written. Now this is the main part where we are making a small change. Now we are setting the mapper class by calling the max temperature mapper dot class file, and this is same as setting your reducer class also by calling max temperature reducer dot class. Now we are introducing a combiner function by setting the combiner class by using max temperature reducer dot class, so that before the reducer class is called, this combiner function is run on the map class's output, so that it reduces, it minimizes the data that has to be transferred to the reducer class. I'm repeating once again, when you join this or when you set this combiner class as a middle level to the mapper class and the reducer class, as a mediator between the mapper class and the reducer class, in that case, this combiner function runs on the output of the mapper class and it minimizes the data that has to be transferred between mapper and reducer. Now the output of this combiner class, again in the form of key value pair, but in the reduced form, is given for is passed forward as input to the reducer class, which will give you the final output. So the only modification you have made is this single line. You're setting the combiner class on the max temperature reducer class, but it runs on the map class's output. Do not get confused. Though you are using max temperature reducer class in order to set this set combiner class, still it runs on the output of the mapper class. It doesn't run on the mapper side, but it runs on the mapper's output and it gives the reduced input to the reducer class. This you already knew. You are just setting the type of data that you are going to give as output by the mapper reducer class. That is in the text format for the year and int writable format for the A temperature that is captured, maximum A temperature that is captured. And finally, you are calling wait for completion method by using the job object into which all this mapper, combiner and reducer classes are packed. And this system waits for the completion of this job and sees whether it returns 0, which indicates completion of the job, or 1, which indicates still the job is running. Now let's see how to run it on a distributed, run it as a distributed map reduce job. If you are running it in a pseudo distributed mode, this map reduce job is run on a single machine, that is on a single node. But if you are running it on a distributed cluster, on a HDFS cluster, then how to run this MapReduce job. In this, the same program will run without alteration on a full data set. In this case, you need not compromise with the volume of the data set. You can run on a complete or full data set. It scales to the size of your data and the size of your hardware. Now, this MapReduce job can easily be scaled according to the size of your data and the size of your hardware, how many number of machines, how many nodes you are actually running on your HDFS cluster. Now, on a 10 node EC2 cluster, that is Elastic Compute Cloud cluster, running high CPU extra large instances means you are using the maximum available capacity of the cluster. Now, on a 10 node EC2 cluster running high CPU extra large instances, the program is observed to take 6 minutes to run. That is to process this entire NCDC data set captured throughout the globe by deploying various sensors at the weather stations. All this data captured to be processed and give the final output. It took 6 minutes with 10 nodes on EC2 cluster running high CPU extra large instances, right? So it took this much time. This is considerably less amount of time compared with the size of the NCDC dataset, because it contains 100 years data, having 8 temperatures captured at various weather stations across the globe. It is very large volume of data, and it took only 6 minutes to process this data, 100 years data. Now let's see how Hadoop streaming is made. Now Hadoop provides an API to MapReduce that allows you to write your map and reduce functions in languages other than Java. Means you can use Python, Ruby, C++ in order to write your MapReduce functions. Hadoop streaming uses Unix standard streams as the interface between Hadoop and your program. So how this streaming is done, how Hadoop interacts with your program, it is only through the interface of Unix standard streams. Now you can use any language that can read standard input and write to standard output to write your MapReduce job. C++ is capable of this, Python is capable of this, Ruby is capable of this, to read standard input and write to standard output to write your MapReduce programs. That is why these MapReduce tasks can be written by using any of these programming languages with support writing and reading from standard, writing to the standard output and reading from the standard input. Now, streaming is naturally well suited for text processing. Map input data is passed over standard input to your map function, which processes it line by line and writes lines to standard output. In text processing, the data has to be processed line by line. Say in order to do some sentiment analysis, or in order to find out what is the sentiment that is going through the text that is being passed between the files. So in order to analyze such kind of things, the text has to be processed line by line, right? So map input is passed over the standard input to your map function, which process it line by line, each line, and writes lines to standard output once again. So that it can be written further to the file system on HDFS cluster. Again, remember, along with its default replication factor. Now, a map output key value pair is written as a single delimited line. It is not split as multiple inputs. It is taken as a single tab delimited line. Means tab is used to separate the key value pairs. Or sometimes it can be a comma delimited line also, in which case we have seen the key value pairs to be separated by a comma instead of a tab. Now input to the reduce function is in the same format, a tab separated key value pair passed over standard input. Again the input passed to reduce function also will be passed through a standard input. which is using these Unix standard streams. Now the reduce function reads lines from standard input, that is from the input stream, which contains the maps output, which the framework guarantees are sorted by the keys and writes its results to the standard output again. Further, that is taken and written to the nodes on the HDFS cluster. Now, in the forthcoming sessions, let us see how we work with Hadoop pipes. Hadoop pipes are C++ interfaces in order to interact with the MapReduce jobs, and how to compile and run these C++ MapReduce programs. Okay, how is the concept today? Is it easy to understand, or do you want me to repeat once again tomorrow? Shall I conduct revision classes tomorrow and after tomorrow, or can I go with the regular module for tomorrow's
Tomorrow,
class?
class, ma'am.
Revision class, ma'am.
You want revision class?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. You want me to repeat all topics of module 3 and 4, or you will select which topics have to be repeated?
Important topics only, ma'am.
All are important. Okay, I'll try to throw light on every topic in brief. Is it okay for you?
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay then. Shall we end this class? Any discussions we'll do after the recording? Okay, we'll see in the next class, that is tomorrow, Friday. Thank you.